At that point, he felt as if his hand was getting into thick, heavy water. He moved the rest of his body slowly until he found himself falling in a very deep pit which contains that kind of heavy water.
Pandarosh presents
The story collection, The Greys, for the writer Dr.Amro Mounier, The Dwarves. A very hard journey taken by the famous Arab traveler Sa'dun, who was able to cross the Sahara Desert alone with the help of his simple tools such as a compass and a little amount of water, which he succeeded to find at a nearby oasis which he passed by, in addition to shoes reinforced with those wide bases of wire connected to a strong wooden frame that aimed to protect him from diving into that soft sand in the harsh desert, carrying on his back a large load of camping components required to set up a tent in the evening. He was finally able to reach this magical place called the Caves of Tassili Desert in the southeast of Algeria, where he heard about those caves carved on stones with divine power. The drawings engraved by the ancients on the surfaces of these caves had always aroused his interest, as he loves historical knowledge, especially those whose true nature is unknown through science. Once, he saw primitive engravings estimated to be tens of thousands of years old. He fully realized how the natural sciences he had studied now materialized before him. The drawings depict the ancients while hunting huge tropical animals like giraffes, which confirms the fact that the region was rainy and green everywhere before it dried up and turned into a desert. One of the dark-colored skinny Tuareg tribesmen who lived in that yellow expansive desert with his tribe asked him,
You look Arab, and not a Frankish like the foreign visitors who frequently visit our desert caves.
Sa'dun was astonished by the man's accent, which was in classical Arabic, and asked, "Oh man, you seem to know how to speak Arabic. By God's name, that's very strange." The tribesman answered in such a nice way, which was not common among people who live in the desert, who were known by their tough nature.
I learned how to speak Arabic while I was studying at Al-Azhar in Egypt, but unfortunately, I did not complete my studies, and I went back to work as a guard for tourists. You will like the place, but please, do not stay here after the sunset. Hear me? Don't stay here after the sunset.
Sa'dun didn't know the reason behind the warning, and he didn't care, as his brave heart, acquired from hundreds of difficult situations to which he had been exposed to, was not familiar with such feelings like fear. The day was coming to an end, and he was still staring at the strange drawings on the caves, which were carved on a large-scale mural, and some of those drawings were incomprehensible ones, which he read about before, showing ancient people wearing costumes that looked like astronauts. Other drawings look different, as they show individuals with different characteristics. People with tiny bodies, in huge heads and a round shape with an upside-down plate. Now it became so dark. That he had to spend the night in the desert next to the caves. He was unable to set up his tent outdoors due to the stormy wind. So he returned to stay inside the caves to protect himself from the strong windy storm. But unfortunately, he couldn't sleep due to the whistling caused by the storm when meeting the walls of the cave. He still remembers the tribesman warning and became sure that he will not be able to stay because of the windy weather in the desert. The sound of the whistling grew louder and louder, and the clear white spot of light appeared in front of him in the darkness. He woke up and headed towards the bright light. It gradually became clearer as he went closer until the spot of light became very close. At that point, the adventurous traveler realized that what he saw in front of him was something that could not be explained. He then tried to touch the spot with his hand, which was covered by thick leather gloves. At that point, he felt as if his hand was getting into thick, heavy water. He moved the rest of his body slowly until he found himself falling in a very deep pit which contains that kind of heavy water. In which he was able to breathe inexplicably as he was descending down deep in a slow motion while trying his best to come out. But there was something pulling him to the bottom. He tried as much as he could, but at the end, he surrendered and lost consciousness. Several hours later, Sa'dun woke up when he heard the tribesman's voice. He opened his eyes to find the man staring at him in anger and addressing him sharply. "Didn't I warn you not to stay in this place at night? Do you realize now what I warned you about? Don't tell anybody about what you have witnessed. Those powerful dwarves will never have mercy on someone who knew their secret and revealed it. This place has been haunted since ancient times, and I warn you one more time, never ever talk about what you have seen." The traveler woke up and left his tools in the cave to move with the nearest tourist group, returning to the capital Algeria to go back to his homeland through Hawari Boumediene Airport. What he saw was completely shocking. It was not a world of dwarves or goblins, as the son of the Tawarik tribe mentioned. These dwarves were nothing but humans in the future after thousands of years of physical development. As their bodies weakened and their limbs became smaller due to excessive dependence on machines as the evolving brain increases in size. These dwarves are served by primitive, strong humans who were enslaved from the human colonies on distant planets after being haunted by flying saucers. And these carvings on the walls are nothing but drawings of those fleeing from enslavement through that time hole located in that rocky spot, which transports any living being instantly through the times. Now it became clear that Sa'dun was not in a dream last night, but it was an exam, and he succeeded in escaping from those dwarves who use mental telepathy as a means of communication. They gave him the permission to escape through the same time hole to return to his world after they realized that this skinny young man was useless for their hard work, which needed strong, enslaved, primitive humans. And see you again with other books by Dr.Amro Mounier. Voiceover by Adham RB. Translation by Shamina. Editing and artificial directing by Ali Saeed. Production manager Rasha Yahya. Directed by Khaled Mahgoub. Best wishes with Pandarosh.